Direct connection later in the program tonight. Our knees, shoulders, and hips, well, they take a lifetime of strain. So how do we maintain joint health? And when do you really need a joint replacement? That is coming up. First tonight, we're into the heart of the real estate season. Is this a good time to buy or sell? Joining us tonight are Mike Dunn, area manager for Prosperity Home Mortgage, and Scott Lederer of Prudential Home Sale YWGC Realty. Thanks to both of you for being with us.
Thank you, Jeff.
Scott, that longer name is going to get simpler, right? You were telling me?
Simpler in the next month. It will. Yes, we're changing our affiliation from Prudential to the new Berkshire Hathaway Home Sale Realty.
You have like Warren Buffett's picture is going to be on the sign?
Be right there. We want our top agents.
So what are you seeing out there? I mean, I'm reading about a little bit of softness in real estate in April, but certainly better than things were. Better than things were.
We're coming out of this winter where the market was very flat for us. Year over year, we're starting to see some improvement in the month of April. We're seeing inventory picking up, which is the key right now to a little better recovery in our market.
Well, really high inventory is a bad thing.
It is, but we're nowhere near real high inventory. We're a good 40% off our high. So, but we did have we had a good April in terms of new homes coming on the market. May has started off on the same foot, so it's a good sign because there are buyers out there.
What's selling? What's selling maybe a little bit more slowly?
Well, what's selling quicker is a home that's priced right and in good shape. There are buyers out there, as I said, and they're looking to see what comes on the market. As soon as a house comes on the market, it gets a lot of eyeballs on it. And if it's in good shape and priced right, then there's typically multiple offers on it right now.
Yeah, we're seeing the same thing. We've got a lot of buyers that are pre-approved and can't find the house that they want. And then when they finally find a nice house, they're competing with other buyers for that house. So it's almost like they almost have to go in. We get them pre-approved prior to them writing the contract, so they can almost go in as a cash contract, just subject to the appraisal. Right. But when Scott's right, when a good house comes on, it goes quick.
Mike, what's happening with rates? So they're off the bottom a bit, but still historically
they're still
pretty good.
Very attractive. A 30-year fixed rate today is about 4 3/8%, 4.5%, which we all got spoiled at 3.5%. But 4.5% are still near 30-year lows.
The trick, though, is getting approved.
Well, it's a trick, it's a process. We are getting people approved and we're closing loans. We just have to set the right expectation of the documentation that is needed up front. Obviously, the no-doc loan is gone and it's not coming back. But between what we have to sell to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the Dodd-Frank regulations, we just have to document our files a lot more. And sometimes it's difficult for the consumer to understand why we need all the documentation we do. But my advice is just, instead of fighting it, just give the extra piece of paper. It'll get you to closing.
You're not going to win. You're not going to win that argument.
We go back to underwriting all the time and say, do we really need this? And the underwriter's like, I know it's overboard, but we have to get it. In today's environment, you just have to provide the documentation.
Is that the rationale for getting pre-approved, that the approval process is going to slow you down?
We do, yeah. We try to get as many people as we can pre-approved prior to writing the contract, so there's no hiccups, there's no last minute running around. They write the contract, they do their home inspection, we get an appraisal, and we go to closing. It's a fairly smooth process.
Scott, I was talking to a friend who does real estate in Florida, and she was seeing a lot of cash buyers still. I don't know in our neck of the woods if we're seeing that.
We're seeing quite a few cash buyers. They're not all, though, pure cash. They're going in because they've gone to someone like Mike or Mike early enough in the process and been able to eliminate the contingency of financing. So they can come in and say, okay, I can buy this because I've already got. So the sooner they go see their mortgage lender, the much better they are, especially when you have multiple offer situations.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about mortgages or real estate, you can give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen. You could also tweet a question. Our Twitter address is @MPT News. So is this the time of year when stuff gets done? I mean, month by month, May, June?
It does. Well, this is the time of year this year. Unfortunately, our spring market is just coming into just coming into play now. Everybody's trading their snow shovels for garden shovels, and they're getting their properties ready. And understandably, if you're a seller, you didn't necessarily want to put your home on the market when you had a lot of snow in your front yard. But that's what's happening right now. That's why I think the listing inventory has picked up. Buyers are out there as the weather continues to get warmer. I think our spring market's going to extend into the summer. Certainly, we're looking at that.
Let's go ahead.
I mean,
Mike.
it's a great time to put your house on the market right
Oh, yeah.
now. It really is a great time to sell a home.
Let's talk to George in Anne Arundel County. George, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. We live in a house now, my wife and I, and we're going to have to put it on the market and move in with my brother-in-law, who's handicapped, into the second house. But it's a house with a lot of steps. It's a 3-story house. So we're looking for a rancher in Anne Arundel County. What do we do about having the second house and trying to find the rancher? And if we do we put a contract in on it, or is it a continuance? What is our best advice for doing that?
Well, I think what you mentioned, that you have interim housing, that sounds like opportunity. My best advice for you, first of all, is to contact a real estate professional who will be able to help you get your current home ready for marketing. And I would suggest, because again, inventory levels are not very high right now, it's probably a great time to put your home on the market. Mike mentioned that. And then you would, once you found the right property, you would go into a contract situation with a financing contingency with a pre-approval loan letter.
How much cash do you need these
I mean,
days?
if it's under $494,000, you get in with 5% down. We even have some programs with 3% down. So you
Well,
can,
that sounds like the good old days.
but you can get in with 3% down, but it's going to be a fully documented loan.
Credit scores, what does somebody need?
Anything below a 740 credit score is going to add a little bit, maybe a quarter of a point to the rate. You can get in as low as a 620 credit score, but you're going to pay a little higher rate when you go below 740.
All right, let's talk to Rhonda in Washington, D.C. Rhonda, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm interested in buying a second home, and I wanted to know how strenuous the process is with regard to qualifying.
Well, you can purchase a second home with 10% down if it's a vacation property. I strongly suggest that you contact a mortgage lender and get pre-approved prior to putting the contract in. Call somebody tonight or tomorrow and get pre-approved. There's no charge to get pre-approved. All they'll do is the appraisal and the title work after you've got your contract.
I asked about credit scores. How important, is there anything other than the number that they care about? I mean, obviously, if you have a high credit score, you don't have any dings on there.
Yeah. If we can still do loans for people without credit scores, if we can build alternative credit, so younger people that don't have credit, that are 2 or 3 years out of school or have been living with mom and dad, we can build alternative credit through their rent, utility bills, insurance bills, and things like that. But it's underwritten by a computer first before human eyes get it, so they really do look at the credit score.
Yeah, Scott, what do you see in terms of the builders? Are they building on spec?
Not too many are building on spec right now, but but in the communities where the larger builders are building homes, they're selling very well. They're taking orders into next sections. They're not doing too far out, but they are selling, and the smaller builders are looking for lots to build on.
Let's talk to Jim in Cecil County. Jim, you're on. Go ahead.
Well, good evening. Thank you for taking the call.
You bet.
All right. The gentleman on the left just mentioned a 3%, 5% possible down payment. In my area, I'm dealing with 20, 25%, and let's face it, the banks were bailed out with money at near 0% rate. Is there anything in the future where that 20, 25% might vary?
Okay, are we talking about a down payment?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks very much.
Well, we do have a program that allows a 3% down. It's very strict underwriting. We're going to require 2 years tax returns, pay stubs, bank statements, W-2s. It is very stringent underwriting, so we will make a loan today on a primary residence with as little as 3% down. We are seeing most people putting at least 10% down today.
What's happening with foreclosures? I know it's not over.
No,
and
it's
a
not
lot
over.
of things the banks sat on for a while for a variety of reasons. What's out there?
It's slowed down. It has slowed down, as have the short sales. The banks they've improved their time frame a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit in terms of getting getting contracts approved on property and getting property on the market. Typically, the properties are in need of some work, and so buyers in this market tend to not have as much available cash to put into a property. So they have to consider that when they're looking at either foreclosed properties or short sales.
All right, before we go, best advice for somebody who's trying to move a house this spring, what's going to make it sell?
Well, my best advice is to take a step back and look at your home through a buyer's eyes. Hire a real estate professional who can help you with that. Take a look at your home. Do what you need to do. Sometimes you need to just do something as simple as paint the front door and get rid of some extra furniture. But get it ready for sale. The homes that are showing well and priced right are selling right now.
And Jim, on the mortgage side, it sounds like get your documents in order is going to be
and get pre-approved.
Yeah.
Get your financing lined up before you buy the house.
very good. Jim Dunn, Mike Dunn of Prosperity Home Mortgage, and Scott Lederer of soon-to-be Berkshire Hathaway Home Sale, now Prudential Home Sale, YWGC. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jeff.
Appreciate the time. Just ahead tonight, maintaining healthy joints in our health segment. We'll be right back.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, it's raining cats and dogs.
We have never seen a cat.
Really?
And he's thoroughly delightful.
It's nice to see this little dog again. I've met it once before.
That's amazing.
Do you like cats anymore after that?
I'm beginning to love it.
You won't want to miss our special edition Antiques Roadshow, Cats and Dogs.
Tonight at 10:30 on MPT.
Tonight on MPT2.
On Masterpiece Mystery.
This unit, the British Free Corps, they're disgusting. Nothing.
Hitler said there'd be $1,000 one day, and in the end, he couldn't even manage 30.
Devereaux stands trial for treason.
Why do you keep agreeing to see me?
To find out why you keep coming back.
He's destroying me and all that I've ever stood for.
It's almost certain he'll hang. There's nothing you can do.
Seems to me there's quite a lot to be done, and since clearly no one else is going to do it, I will.
Boyle's War on Masterpiece Mystery.
Tonight at 8 on MPT2.
No one comes back from war unchanged.
You forget how different the world is over here.
My name is Wes Moore. We're capturing portraits of veterans as they share their stories of re-entry to civilian life. Which job are you the most proud of?
Being a soldier.
Tuesday night at 8 on MPT.
I would guess we had 40 or 50 American wounded. The church was packed with casualties.
Church was the best thing I could think of.
They were young men much like us, except they were wearing a different uniform. I tell my grandchildren my role in the war, I wasn't a rifleman killing people.
Thursday night at 9 on MPT2.
And joining us in the studio for this week's Your Health segment is Dr. Hal Crane, orthopedic surgeon at the University of Maryland, Baltimore-Washington Medical Center. Doctor, thank you for being with us.
Good evening. Thank you.
As we age, we all want to keep everything moving as easily as possible. How much of that is maybe genetics? How much of it is something where prevention would make a difference?
I think prevention makes a difference for everybody. I think our genetics are really a predisposition to problems. It's not an absolute that we're going to have them. And I think that by addressing them, maybe in a stronger way if we have a family history, but for all of us, prevention is important. We have lifestyles that are not always great, and addressing those kinds of things on a daily basis, oftentimes with very, very practical, simple kinds of issues really make a difference.
Let's dig into that a little bit. I mean, say, let's focus on knees, for example, and maybe you have somebody who loves to run. Is that necessarily the best exercise? Is there a way to take it easy on your knees and still run?
Well, you know, running itself doesn't cause arthritis. It's a misconception. We have studies that clearly show that people who are runners, when you look at them in population size, don't have more arthritis than the general population, unless you have a problem. If you have a problem, the impact activities of running can definitely accelerate it more quickly. So if your knees are normal, and you don't have a family history of problems, I think unless you run in traffic with your eyes closed, you're not likely to have an arthritic problem.
All right, somebody who's developed some problems, what's the first sign of that? I mean, you feel pain or you feel restriction?
You know, the first sign is usually a little bit of stiffness. It may be some discomfort that you didn't anticipate. You know, you wake up in the morning and things hurt, putting on your shoes, taking off your socks, things like that that you maybe didn't feel before. And it's often subtle. And it has a progression, you know, from subtle and intermittent to often to requiring medication, to requiring prescription medication, and then ultimately might even require surgery, but that's always the last resort.
What's happening in the joint itself when you start to feel the stiffness? What's stiff?
I think it's important to understand what arthritis really is, because that's what we're talking about. And if a person were to pull a chicken joint apart, that shiny white stuff on the end of the bone, that's called articular cartilage. And the generic term arthritis really means that that articular cartilage is starting to break down. And it goes, if you look at it, literally from shiny and smooth to dull to fragmented to cobblestones to potholes. And that's how it progresses. And you know, when it's potholes, it's usually a lot more than stiffness. It's pain, it's deformity, and so forth. But the majority of it is not that. The majority is stiffness, and you take a little Tylenol, you take a little Advil, and it makes a big difference.
Let's grab a phone call. This is John in Baltimore County. John, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hello. My question is about the nature of the cells that make up the cartilage. An analogy would be our bone cells. I understand they are constantly being destroyed and then rebuilt. And the pharmaceutical industry has developed I think they're the biophosphate class of drugs that bring this into balance and then retired osteoporosis. I wonder if it's even theoretically possible for the cells of the cartilage to be attacked in that way by pharmaceutical agents, and
John?
if any investigation is going on now in that area.
Yeah, good question. Thank you very much for the phone call. Is there anything out there that actually repairs the cartilage?
Currently, there is not. We have some injectable materials that lubricate the cartilage, that soothe the cartilage. It doesn't rebuild the cartilage. Our mainstay of anti-inflammatories reduce the inflammation associated with it, but we don't have yet medication by any form or route of administration that rebuilds those cartilage cells. We're very hopeful with the genetic research that's going on. We really have some opportunities for the future. We are seeing things today that 10 years ago we didn't imagine. And so as that process continues, I'm very hopeful.
What's your experience in your practice with the supplements, the glucosamine and all that? Does it work?
I perhaps am a little bit different from some of my colleagues. I think if it's known not to be harmful, whether or not there are studies that show that it works, try it. Because there are plenty of people who get improvement from it, even though things aren't supposed to work. You just want to measure what's the risk of doing it. I think the studies today suggest that glucosamine and the things like that may not meet the standards of scientific proof that other drugs do, but I have a lot of people who tell me it helps them.
Let's talk to Larry in Wicomico County. Larry, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
I do quite a bit of walking during the day, at least a couple miles, and it's on soft ground. And a couple times a year I go abroad and on trips where we do a lot of walking, mostly on hard ground, hard concrete. And after only a day or two when we go abroad, my feet get very, very sore. and they seem to heal overnight. In that, in the morning, they feel pretty good again. But by midday, they're hurting real bad again.
So it's your feet, it's not your shins, your knees?
It's my feet.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thoughts?
You know, walking is a phenomenal exercise, and for people who don't have advanced arthritis, it's one of the more friendly things. But as we get older, we get structural problems with our feet. Our feet are a little bit like the tread on our tires, and the more you use them, the more wear they get. And I think if it happens only when you travel, and it's not happening here, it might be related to your shoes, because when we travel, we're on airplanes, our feet swell a little bit, our shoes fit a little bit differently. I think I would look into that sort of thing, but make sure that you're wearing shoes that have as much cushion and as much support as is practical. I mean, you're not going to wear those shoes on the beach, but for sure, for walking, it's a good thing. Let's go to Anne Arundel County. This is Wayne. Wayne, go ahead.
Good afternoon, or good evening.
Good evening.
I just had an x-ray for hip pain, and it showed I have osteonecrosis. I'm just wondering what the best course of action is. Medications have not seemed to work, and the hip also feels very weak.
Yeah, Wayne, we'll get you an answer. Good luck there.
Thank you.
Well, osteonecrosis is a condition for a variety of reasons. The blood supply to the hip ball or the femoral head has been interrupted, and so the ball dies. And it follows a path of decline and eventually collapses and causes arthritis and significant pain. If there is already collapse, then the surgical procedures that we have that are sometimes helpful in arresting the disease are not very effective. And now it's a matter of managing your activities, cushioning the joint, supportive things, medications like anti-inflammatories, non-narcotic pain medications. When you get to the point that you're requiring narcotic pain medicine or nearly there, or the pain so much affects your daily activities, that's when the role of surgery comes into play.
What's your surgical practice like? What do you do most of?
I do mostly hip and knee replacement surgeries and redo hip and knee replacement surgeries. So somebody has had a joint replacement that is either worn out or it is not working the way that they had hoped that it would.
So what's the lifespan if somebody gets their knees or hip done? How long is it supposed to last for?
Well, you know, our materials have improved quite a lot. There was sort of a given that was never true, that hip and knee replacements lasted 10 years. They always lasted, in the majority of people, much longer than that. And today, with the materials that we have, 15 to 20 years out from surgery, over 90% of people are still working, functioning perfectly.
And in a few seconds, how does somebody know that it's time to go to surgery?
Surgery is always the last resort. Sometimes patients will go to doctors and they'll come away with the notion, he told me I have nothing else to do, I need to have this surgery. But it really is the way the doctor is expressing the fact that I've got nothing else to offer.
So you can live with this, or
you can live with it.
It's
It's not like cancer, you know. And if a person is middle-aged and they have a tolerable amount of pain, they should probably live with it until it impacts their quality of life, and that means a variety of things.
Very good. Dr. Hal Crane is with the University of Maryland's Baltimore-Washington Medical Center. Doctor, thanks for the time.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. Thank you for joining us for Direct Connection. We're back Thursday with Your Money and Business. For all of us at MPT, I'm Jeff Salkin. Thanks for watching and have a good night.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.